on the disc, like we were saying, just find stuff that's like a 0 for the turn. Just want a disc that goes straight. You know, like I said, we'll make more videos on the discs and talk about the rating numbers. But as a beginner, if you've never thrown before, I recommend probably staying with a lighter weight. A max weight on a disc is a 175. Most people who can throw, I mean, if you could throw 375 feet and further, you know, that's a max weight disc thrower. You know, if you're throwing it out that far, you can just buy max weight. Even if you buy a disc that is lower, you know, down, so let's say you buy a 170, it's all about arm speed. So the disc still flies the same. If I take a disc that's like a 160 and throw it, I can feel that it's light, and when I come through and hit, it doesn't come out right. I can feel the lightness, and it's over torquing the disc. You know, for me to throw a lighter disc, you know, I would need to slow my arm speed down so I could get into the range of what that weight wants to throw at, you know. So a max weight 175, you know, maybe down to a 172. You know, those are guys who could throw 375 feet and further. So if you're learning, you know, you're probably going to be at about the 200 foot marker, you know, maybe 200, 250. So I recommend coming in with a lighter weight until you learn to throw. And as you learn to start throwing harder, you'll just notice that the disc is coming out maybe a little understable for you as you build up your speed. You know, so maybe buy, you know, as a total beginner and you've never thrown before, you know, maybe try the 169 to 66, you know, right there, 65 to 170. Yeah, you know, like I said, when you push over 170 to 175, you know, it is a difference. You know, you can feel a difference when you're throwing them. So it's all about arm speed. So as a beginner, you're going to have a slower arm speed, so you want a lighter disc so you can, you know, put a snap on it. But yeah, it gets really finicky trying to buy disc in the weight. I mean, you could buy a disc and throw it perfect. You give it to your friend and he can't get the thing to fly like you did. It's all about arm speed and then the spin that you're putting on the disc when you release it. So when you're just learning, go with a little lighter weight, you know. I mean, if you're athletic and you think, you know, you can put some hit on it, maybe go 170. And then, like I say, you can adjust your disc later for if you want to go up in weight. But yeah, the whole concept is so finicky. I mean, each disc, you know, like this disc here is the Eagle by Innova, and this is called Champion Plastic. It's the see-through. This disc here, I mean, if you can't, you know, throws 375, it's not going to fly for you. But they do have different plastics that you can get into that would make the disc fly better. So, you know, like this disc here, I mean, I would only recommend this disc for someone who could put some heat on it. The disc flies really overstable unless you can hit it. So I've seen reviews where people hate this disc because it'll come out and just hook on them. And it's just because they can't throw hard enough. So they either need to go in a lighter weight, you know, instead of 175, maybe they should be throwing it in a 160 something, 165. So, it's just kind of a hit and miss to find discs that work for you. I've got stacks of discs that don't work. They're broken. They don't fly how I want them to fly. So it takes time to learn and get the disc to break in. If you find a disc you like, you just keep throwing it and it'll break in on you. These two discs here are Excaliburs. This one here has been my original disc. I've had this Excalibur for over 10 years and it's finally gone understable. I throw this Excalibur, which is one of the most overstable discs that they sell. I throw this disc now and it'll flip and come to the right. It can hold the wind still and come forward, but it will flip. So I bought a new one. This one flies like a boat anchor. It's just gonna come straight out and it hooks really hard. But I've thrown this one so much that it is now finally flipped. So I found other shots for it. It actually moved into a nice forehand disc. But anyways, it's kind of like that. You find a disc and you just keep playing it. And after a while, the disc could, break in and it kind of changes that flight pattern a little bit. When they're brand new, a lot of people don't like them when they're brand new. They're a little stiff. So you get some hits on it, get some sunlight, and little by little, the disc starts breaking in and all of a sudden, it's like a different disc and you can totally fall in love with it. This Cayman, the Cayman, I bought this disc and it used to fly really hard and just hook, which kind of sucked. It wasn't what I was expecting. But I kept throwing it out here on the field and I've beat it in so much now that it flies just like my rock, but just the opposite. They're identical speed. But I could throw this disc, now that it's all beat in, it'll totally just glide for me and land forward. It's lost that hook it had earlier, and it's become one of my favorite discs. I throw this thing like all the time. This thing can handle a full-on, forehand and backhand, and it can handle different angles, and you'll still get the same flight as you get out of the rock. But it took a long time to beat it in. I just kept throwing it because I wanted to see how, it would beat in. And all of a sudden it turned into a great flying disc. And, I love this thing. Especially out here where it's windy all the time, 15 miles an hour and up. And this could totally handle that. So, but most of the time, like I say, you just gotta kind of get a disc and just throw it. As a beginner, stay with the lighter weights. Don't go into the 170s to 175 as a beginner. Stay in that lower range. The slower your arm, stay down 160, 165. So, but anyways, so just some more on the disc. We'll talk a lot more about discs later, but just in general for picking up a disc, just take a disc that lands in the middle. Like I say, just buy putters, a putter and a mid-range for a beginner. Maybe a fairway driver, but if you do a fairway driver, just get one that likes to go straight, maybe, So anyways, for now, this is Michael out in Maui. Aloha.